Reinvention, the skill that keeps you relevant. What if I told you that the biggest threat to your success isn't failure? It's becoming too comfortable with who you already are. Most people think success is about finding your passion, mastering one skill, and repeating it for the rest of your life. History tells a completely different story. The people who changed the world rarely stayed the same. They reinvented themselves again and again, not because they were lost, but because they understood something the rest of us often forget. What got you here will not get you where you're going. Let's look at Ludwig van Beethoven. Most people know the story of his hearing loss and his struggle in life, but fewer realize how dramatically he reinvented his music. His early works clearly reflected the influence of Mozart and Haydn, and maybe other composers of his time. Finally, his late works completely changed the language of classical music. The late string quartets confused audiences. Many listeners thought he had gone too far. Today, they're considered masterpieces that were decades ahead of their time. He wasn't repeating himself, he was merely reinventing himself. He was discovering who he could become next. Now let's leave music just for a little bit. Consider Steve Jobs. He didn't simply build computers. First the Apple II, then the Macintosh. Then he was forced out of the very company he created. Most people would have spent years trying to reclaim what they had lost. Jobs reinvented himself. He built Next. He invested in Pixar. Pixar revolutionized animated filmmaking. When he returned to Apple, he wasn't the same entrepreneur. He had become a completely different leader. Then came the iMac, the iPod, the iPhone, the iPad. Each one forced Apple to reinvent itself before competitors could do it first. Elon Musk, whether you admire him or criticize him, isn't the point. His career is a continuous exercise in reinvention. Software, online payments, remember PayPal, electric vehicles, reusable rockets, artificial intelligence, brain-computer interfaces, robotics. Each industry required him to learn almost from scratch. He wasn't just changing jobs, he was changing identities. Let's go even further back. Albert Einstein wasn't simply the scientist who developed relativity. After his revolutionary papers in 1905, he continued changing his own thinking for decades. He questioned himself, he refined his theories, he explored unified field theory long after many believed his greatest work was already behind him. Even when he was wrong, he kept researching. Science advances because scientists are willing to abandon yesterday's certainty for tomorrow's evidence. Marie Curie offers another remarkable example. She discovered polonium, then radium. She developed entirely new methods for studying radioactivity. When World War I began, she reinvented herself once more, not just as a scientist, but as someone who brought mobile X-ray units directly to wounded soldiers. Knowledge became action. Charles Darwin spent decades refining on the origin of species. He constantly revised his ideas. He collected more evidence. He challenged his own assumptions before publishing them. Now think about the business world again. Netflix began by mailing DVDs. Mailing DVDs. Imagine telling someone in the 90s that the DVD by mail company would someday become one of the world's largest entertainment producers. It sounds ridiculous. Who would have believed them? But Netflix reinvented itself before the market forced it to. First, streaming, then original content, then global production. They disrupted their own business before someone else's could. Amazon began by selling books. Jeff Bezos understood something incredibly important. A business shouldn't become emotionally attached to its first successful idea. Books became everything. Everything became cloud computing. Cloud computing became artificial intelligence. The company that sold paperbacks became one of the world's largest technology providers. What about you? If you're a musician, are you still producing music the same way you did 5, 10, 15 years ago? Do you still feel learning orchestration because you're just a pianist or just a guitarist and you don't need that kind of stuff? That's for somebody else. Are you avoiding AI because it feels unfamiliar or feels like cheating or feels like you don't want to step into that field? Or maybe you're hiding behind AI because you've stopped developing your actual musicianship. Both extremes are dangerous. Technology changes, musical trends change, audiences change. The artist who survives is the artist who keeps learning. Market evolve, customers evolve, entire industries disappear. Nokia, remember Nokia with the big bulky phones, brick shaped? Nokia dominated mobile phones. Then smartphones arrived. Being successful yesterday doesn't guarantee relevance tomorrow. Here's the paradox: reinvention is uncomfortable because it temporarily makes you feel like a beginner again. You feel stupid. You need to acquire new skills. You need to learn about new software, about new hardware. You need to integrate a lot of stuff in your workflow. And you're feeling like, no, I'm too old for this new stuff. I'm going to stick to what I know. No one enjoys that feeling. We like competence. We like certainty. We like being good at what we already know. But beginners grow. I've experienced this myself. As a pianist, when I was about 18, 19 years old, I thought I'm going to play piano, my songs, and some Chopin, some Beethoven, some Rachmaninoff here and there. Then I have my story to share in music. So I had to become a better composer. Then I was behind with orchestration. A lot of people knew how to orchestrate. I had no idea how to write music for a real symphonic orchestra. Then I've learned that too. I thought I'm going to be discovered like Michael Jackson was or like Ray Charles was. And somebody's going to hand me a business card. And then they're going to put me in a state of the art studio with a music producer and with an orchestrator and with a guy who knows all the knobs and all the compressors and all the cables and all the patches. And I'm going to be like a god telling them what to do. And they're going to take my music to the next level. That was the biggest lie I kept telling myself for years. The reality was I had to learn all this stuff. I had to learn how to operate the computer. I had to switch from Windows-based computers to Macs. I had to learn Logic Pro. I had to learn about plugins. I had to learn how to produce my own music, about space, about reverbs, about compression, about sidechain compression. And then when I was ready with my third album, Bliss, I sent it to my mastering engineer just to learn from his wife that he passed away, heart attack. I called other mastering engineers. I sent them my tracks for demos. I was not very happy and I bought more gear. I bought more software. I've spent more months learning about that until I've learned how to master that science too. Keep reinventing yourself. There's no other way. I promise you. Keep grinding. Keep digging. Keep learning. Do you have anything better to do